ask people and feel compassion, it must drive us to action. And that action can take the form of prayer, of giving, of direct physical help. We must not be like the religious Pharisees who burdened the people instead of helping them. They're always pointing out where the people fell short of following religious rules, most of which they made up. You know, the biggest problem they had with Jesus is when he healed on the Sabbath, because they had added all these things to the Sabbath requirements. You know, the Sabbath is important. It's the fourth commandment, and the Jews went into captivity in Babylon because they didn't honor the Sabbath, and they had to spend 70 years in captivity because that's how many Sabbaths had to be paid back. Wow. If you figure it out. And that's why they were in captivity for 7 years. It wasn't an arbitrary number because they had abandoned their Sabbaths. So Sabbaths are important to God, but the Jews made a farce of it. They made all these kind of rules about the Sabbath. You couldn't work on the Sabbath. Okay, well, what was work? Yes, you could only walk, they've said, 1,000 yards. But then, if you had a meal, if you walked 1,000 yards and opened up your picnic basket and had a meal, then that became your home. You could walk another 1,000 yards. That's how they did it. Really? Yeah. And then if you did something else in that 1,000 yards and that became your home, you could walk another 1,000 yards. So they got around their own rules that they made up. Okay. So since the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few, Jesus prayed for more workers. And I got to tell you, one of the saddest things, and farmers will tell you that, Dwayne will tell you, one of the saddest things is to see a ripe crop, a crop that's ripe, ready to be picked, that spoils on the vine because you can't pick it for whatever reason. You know, workers, you don't have the weather, whatever. It's very sad to see a crop that you have nurtured for a whole season and then you're not able to pick it. We need to pray for missionaries. We need to pray for Christian workers. There must be workers sent by and called by God. It says, then Jesus took action, and then what did he do? He called 12 workers. He called 12 evangelists. Jesus melded those 12 diverse followers into a cohesive, unified band of brothers. And the church can do the same thing. We can do the same thing. So when we have compassion for the non-believers who may even be attacking us, we need to do something about it. We need to have some action. Any questions about this? It's kind of amazing when I read this because I said personally, and I see this verse, and I say, this verse was on the wall of some building. Yes. The harvest is plentiful, but the worker is you. Yeah. That's very good. That's true. That's true. Yeah, we need to do something about the compassion that we feel. I know we feel the compassion, but then we say, oh, that's too bad or whatever, but we don't do anything. Okay, let's continue on. We're up to now Matthew 10. We're up to verse 5. These 12 Jesus sent out with the following instructions. Now, I believe that in Matthew 10, there are really two missionary trips here. He writes it as if they're one, but Matthew does that a lot. He'll take a couple of different scenes and different things and he'll put them together, because in other parts in the Bible they're separated, because he gives instructions for this first trip that they go out. He sends them out, and the instructions that he gives for the second one are different than the first one, and they're different because he's sending them to different people. The first one he's sending out to the house of Israel. He's sending out to the Jews. The second time he's sending them out to Gentiles, and he gives them different instructions. So I think the cutoff point is verse 16. We started at verse 5, Matthew 10, verse 5. These 12 Jesus sent out with the following instructions: do not go among the Gentiles or enter any town of the Samaritans. Go rather to the lost sheep of Israel. Very specific. As you go, proclaim this message: the kingdom of heaven has come near. And I think that means he's saying he's there. He's the kingdom of heaven. He's come near. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse those who have leprosy, drive out demons freely. You have received, freely give. Okay? Verse 9, do not get any gold or silver or copper to take with you in your belts, no bag from your journey or extra shirt or sandals or the staff, for the worker is worth his keep. He's saying don't even take anything. You don't need any money because you're worth your keep. When you go and give the good news to people, they'll support you. Whatever town or village you enter, search there for some worthy person and stay at their house until you leave. Now we use that idea when we do missionary trips. We have key people in key towns that we go, the people on the ground. Like when we go to India, we have a man named John Ishmael, and he has an organization there, but he takes care of us. He sets things up. We have key people in key towns that you know. Whatever town or village you enter, search for some worthy person and stay at their house until you leave. As you enter the home, give it your greeting. What was their greeting usually? Peace be with you, right? If the home is deserving, let your peace rest on it. If it is not, let your peace return to you. If anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, leave that home or town and shake the dust off your feet. Now, you may not understand what he's saying here. Shake the dust off your feet was a Jewish idiom where if you went to a Gentile area that was Gentile soil, before you got back into Israel, you had to wash your feet. You had to shake the dust off your feet. So what they're saying here is if somebody's not welcoming you and they're not being kind to you, treat them as a Gentile. That's what it really means. Shake the dust off your feet. Truly I tell you, it will be more bearable for Sodom and Gomorrah on the day of judgment than for that town. And you know what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah. 16, I am sending you out like sheep among wolves. Sheep among wolves. Therefore, be shrewd as snakes and innocent as doves. Very interesting, very hard to do. Shrewd as snakes and innocent as doves. You're not to be stupid about this. I gave you a brain. You're to use your brain, but you ought to be innocent. Give your peace. Give the gospel. If someone will accept it, wonderful.